Hey, I'm Kurt Clendenin. You are watching KaPow Intergalactic Film Festival, the Q&A section here. Today we're talking with Andy Sowerby, who directed Life in the Faslow Lane, a music video by Scaramanga Silk, one of his songs. So welcome, Andy. Thank you so much for submitting your movie to KaPow this year.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me and thanks for selecting the video. It's a great news.
So how long have you been in the business in terms of just, directing or writing or...
I mean, I've kind of been around the kind of business for like about a decade, but that's from like working my way up. And so I guess it's sort of like in the last sort of 5 years or something, like maybe like directing sort of some music videos and short films and things like that, sort of art projects.
What are some
Um,
of the other music videos you've done?
They're for like quite a few of them were for Brighton-based bands because I was kind of loosely affiliated with a kind of arts collective down there called Beta Bet. Through my brother, who's a musician, and so they were kind of for bands down there like AKDK and Man Ray Sky, sort of like within the sort of Brighton scene in the sort of south of England because there were just a whole bunch of musicians and artists and people doing creative things, and they just wanted someone to shoot videos for them. So I was more than happy.
Well,
So I was,
I think that's awesome that you did that because like that's the true collaborative spirit right there. And once you start helping someone out, someone else is like, "Oh, I like what they did. Oh, can you add some of that magic to my project?" So I think that's awesome. So is that how you came across Scar Manga Silk through that whole scene?
no, actually, the label Micro Spiral had actually contacted me online. They saw some of my work online and contacted me and said, "Oh, would you like to do a video for Scaramanga Silk?" It was kind of an open invite to sort of pick a few. It had a few different tracks off the album, but they were quite open to whichever one. And I listened to a few, and then this one sort of appealed to me. I sort of liked that it was quite strange and weird, and because it has these kind of like the fast, slow elements, and I liked it musically. So I thought, okay, I could do something interesting with
Now,
this
did
music.
you start getting images? uh, Like, how long did it take for these images to start evolving in your brain as you were listening to the music?
Well, I'd seen the cover art. I don't know if you've seen it. On the album cover. There's like a sort of like that. There's like a face thing that's in the video is on the floor, like
Yeah.
it's the face on the floor. So I saw that, and then some of his other artwork I'd seen like has a similar kind of style. And I can't remember if we sort of discussed it or if I just came up with it. But like at some point, I thought, oh, it'd be interesting to kind of like connect that with the video somehow, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that. And then I often, when if I'm getting a music video, I'll just like put the song on my headphones and just like walk around for a long walk and have it on repeat and just kind of let my mind wander. It's much easier to think like that, just walking. And then like some things come to me maybe, and so I just had this idea of like, what if it's just sort of came to life on the floor and became this man? And I think the rhythm of the music, it sort of sounds like someone's running to me.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah.
so there, that kind of just it all just sort of. And then once I had that, it sort of all clicked into place. There wasn't too much more. There's not really much more plot than that. Like a man gets chased, but that's about it. And then in terms of the kind of middle section where he kind of goes into the darkness, it was just kind of experimenting with some visual kind of like effects that I've been wanting to play around with for a while. So it was a way to kind of combine those things into a kind of metamorphose sort of section.
Well, I was
Coming.
thinking during that time, during that dark time, I was like, wow, this is just absolutely genius. And as I was sitting there looking at it myself, I'm going, boy, there are multitudes of ways to express this thing. Like how did you decide what to like the slow motions? And I was sitting there as I was watching it, I'm going, they must have had such a fun time because with this guy with his face and all these different
Yeah,
directions and stuff, I'm thinking, just imagine you off screen go, okay, make another strange face. Okay, make another. And
yeah.
meanwhile, it's
Well,
just going in
and
slow
that was
motion.
testament to Joe Rainbow, the actor. I mean, I did a kind of, I did a casting call out, got a few sort of actors in, and my, my brief to them was, okay, you need to transform into a monster kind of, scribble man. I was like, that's send me a self tape of that. because I knew if they could get that right, then the rest of it is, you know, just sort of running around and being chased. And there was a few okay ones, and I saw Joe's, and he really went for it, and I could tell he was quite visually sort of expressive, and he was quite, you know, like physical. So I was like, yeah, we did have fun, and he really got into it, and I think, you know, he could like really just like, I was just like, go mad, go, you know, what's the maddest face we can do, you know, like, and then it looks, you know, it looks good on the day, but then when you're shooting at like, I can't remember what it was, but you know, it's like quite high frame rate, so it's quite slow motion. You know, it looks great. It does look great.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's great, man. And he does a great job, you know, being possessed by this scribble, which I think is just such a brilliant idea. Now, were you the one who actually reconstructed the DJ scribble on the concrete?
Yeah, I drew that on the floor. Yeah.
Great job with that. Also, did you now was that must have been quite a crazy job. Did you rotoscope someone as a series of
myself. I'm not really an animator, you know, by trade, but like I sort of wanted to give it a go, and it was a bit of a sort of skeleton team. It wasn't like a big budget, but like yeah. So I had to go, and I know how to do it in principle. So yeah, I sort of had to do that, and it was quite a lot. I was like, I'm not an animator, and I don't envy people who are, because I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then after like about halfway, I was like, oh man, this takes so long. Like, but you know, it was a good process. I enjoyed it, and I think it turned out well.
Oh, it's a really good effect, man. To see a Scribble monster chasing someone through the street with the sort of an outline of a human, just the different shots. What
we did with that was like, we shot it all like twice. So we'd shoot it with Joe, the actor, as him, and then we'd shoot it again with him playing the scribble. And then I would like delete that frame. I'd like overlap them in the edit, and then, you know, then rotoscope over the scribble version of him, and then get rid of that layer, and then combine them. So then he could then give that scribble a character, and I could have something to draw it, you know. And then he was good at doing that too. So, you know, big up to Joe that, you know, he really did a good job there.
Wow, man, just such a brilliant idea. Like it's just like it's so interesting because it's like the scribble on the concrete is just waiting for the next person to come up and interact with it, you know? And it's like, and it's doing nothing. It's just hanging out, you know? And it's just so cool.
Yeah, I wanted to almost create like a little mini mythology or something. Like it's like a little, you know, like urban folk tale of like this, don't touch scribbles on the street because it might happen to you, you know?
It's really cool. Now, so have you worked on other Scaramanga Silk music videos, or is this the only one so far?
No, just that one a few years ago, and that was it. Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. In my research, I can't believe this was not too long ago, actually. It looks like Scaramanga Silk's a vinyl of his, Choose Your Weapon, sold for like $40,000 on Discogs. It's like the highest. Like this is just, all this is just like, it's so crazy that this just so happens to be going on right now. And
my friend sent that to me because he was like, oh, do you know that your music video is on like BBC News? And I was like, wow, okay. And then I checked out, because obviously they've been linking like, you know, some of his old songs in that video. So that was cool.
Yeah, well, I saw that was one of the things I saw was a still shot from your video of the guy running down the street.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy story. I mean, like, you know, things get sold for so much, like, you know, but that is a crazy amount. And my friend, like, he collects cassette tapes, like he's really into those, and so he, like, you know, he'll often spend a bit. He'll be like, oh, I got it for a really good deal. It's like a few hundred, you know, pounds or whatever, you know, and that's like a lot for him. But then to spend this much is crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, there's all kinds of like bajillionaires out there who are like, oh yeah, $40,000, that's nothing. That's like, you know, that's some pocket change. Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's incredible. Like when people find themselves fascinated with a specific kind of, you know, like I'm just looking at this ocarina that I have. There might be someone who's a huge ocarina collector, you know, and they're like, ooh, this was a rare one that was made like, you know, in the mountains of Zimbabwe or something, and I must have that. So it's interesting what people choose to, like, you know, put their value into. And now of course this makes me wonder, what the heck does this song sound like, Choose Your Weapon?
Just no, I don't think it's online. I think you can't hear it.
I think it's just the record, right? It's just the vinyl. Yeah. Which adds to the whole mystery of the thing. It was just brilliant, man. Just brilliant. And it's just so cool that you're a part of this, you know, you helped.
interesting, yeah, because I never met, or spoke to Scaramanga Silk, only the label. Like he's kind of a mysterious kind of figure, like really. So like,
Yeah.
at the time, and I did sort of, like run into him briefly at like a film festival a couple of years ago, but then not since. Like, it's kind of like, he's around, but he's, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, but maybe if he does another album or something, EP, maybe I can get involved with the music video. But let's see.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got any new music yet.
Well, because I can imagine it would be a little tricky trying to direct a music video that just doesn't have any, it's just music, so it's totally up to you. It's not like any of the lyrics are kind of giving you little bits of hints on what to go by or something. You're just like, okay, I'm just going to put the headphones on. Let's just walk around. Let's see what kind of interesting imagery and stuff pops into my brain.
No, I like that. I think it creates this open canvas that's more interesting in a way. And because I've never really been into kind of like the idea of doing like performance-based videos. Like I've shot some stuff that's like an actual live performance video, like documenting it. But in terms of like people lip syncing to stuff, I'm like, it's okay, but it's not for me. I think I'd rather make some little film, some little quirky thing that can, I can bring something else to it. What I like about that is, well, especially when they're instrumental, it's like you can create this other world that can kind of like live in juxtaposition to the music, and it's not reliant on it. They can be kind of in symbiosis, and then they can kind of help each other to grow and develop. So it's a really interesting process. It's how something can spark off an idea, and then you can kind of build from it. It's a great process. It's part of the exciting bit, really. It's that initial stage.
Well, and being open to that stuff, it really, if it takes a certain mind to be open and willing to accept the most strangest circumstances and the weirdest ideas. It takes a very open mind to go, ooh, that's so absurd. It just might work. Let's scribble that down. Let's use that one. So, what I'm curious about this, because you do a great job, like telling this full story in very short amount of time, and it's not like a regular music videos are usually the person who's up there singing and stuff. This is in itself a short film. This is like a Twilight Zone episode. This is like a thriller mystery. I mean, it's like a sci-fi thriller mystery all rolled up into one. So, who are some of your influences that kind of bring you to this point?
Sure. I mean, like, all sorts of stuff, really. I mean, I do quite like sci-fi, like since you mentioned that, and sort of thriller kind of things. In general, I know I love David Lynch.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, you can probably tell. And obviously you've got your Doug.
Yeah. Caught between dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been reading quite a lot. I read quite a few like sort of early sort of classic sci-fi novels like Isaac Asimov and that kind of stuff. I think that kind of stuff that says something about humanity. I mean, that's not necessarily in this music video, but like that's sort of using sci-fi to kind of like put a mirror up to what it means to be human. Yeah, I don't know, but also I'm quite into more like artist film video, like sort of stuff like Stan Brakhage or like Norman McLaren, which you might see more in this video.
I'm gonna write these guys down. I gotta write these guys down.
They're more like from the 60s, 70s, who are like abstract experimental filmmakers.
Say those names again, please. Repeat those names. I gotta write these down.
Stan Brakhage and Norman McLaren. Norman McLaren, especially for this video, if you look him up, you might see some influence in terms of like, it was like animating directly onto like film stocks and like drawing onto it or scratching into it, and then like creating sounds on the soundtrack as well of the 16mm film. And Stan Brakhage was kind of the same. He's kind of like painting directly onto the film strips. So I do stuff like that as well sometimes in my other sort of work. And so I think that's sort of with this film, it had this plot, but then there's that bit in the middle where it still has a purpose because it's this transformation, but it gets kind of abstract at points.
Oh yeah,
so I like to sort of lean into abstraction.
Yeah, it's cool how he goes into the DJ Scribble world or into its own psychology, so to speak. It's like, this is what's going on in here. it was really cool how they traded places for a moment. What kind of projects do you have hiding in the wings that you're just like, ooh, I can't wait to get that funding, or I gotta, I gotta make that, $4 million, $400 million sci-fi film. Like what kind of things you got waiting in the wings?
Sure. Well, I've had a project I've been working on a while. It's been delayed because of COVID for for like a year and a half. We've kind of done a chunk of it. We just need to finish it off. It's me. It's a collaboration with a composer, Matthew Grouse, and it's we're doing a sort of live performance piece using video, a violinist, and like making these kind of like tactile instruments that can be used by the performers that like make sound out of touch.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like a 20-minute piece about skin and contact and touch, which is obviously very COVID appropriate because nobody can touch each other. So it's kind of like really hard to do. But yeah, so it's all about skin and yeah, so we've made these instruments that like they're paintbrushes that you can like paint on skin, and then as you paint, it makes sound.
Incredible.
It creates a circuit like because you through touching it and then through the wires, and it goes through the sort of little mini synth, makes sound. And then I've been like animating abstract kind of things, or like doing macro photography of skin and stuff like that, which has been a real fun project. So that was like a kind of sort of more like arts kind of funded project. We got a bit of funding, and we're hoping to do it in Glasgow. There should be a premiere hopefully this year, but it got delayed like twice because of COVID. So I'm really hoping that'll happen, because we've been waiting to do that premiere for a while, and then with the idea that we might take on a little tour if it's successful.
That is a cool idea with that. I think I've seen that device on Instagram or something. It looks, or at least the one that I saw, it was like this, and then people were touching different parts of their bodies, and it was creating some kind of sounds. It'd be interesting to know.
You can use it with like a pencil as well, like graphite.
Oh,
conducts electricity, so you can draw with it and then touch the drawing, and then you're touching at the end of the pencil, and then it creates a circuit through your body. So it's really cool. It's just
and who would have thought that something like that could become this musical thing? Because it's like, like, okay, the instrument I played was a graphite pencil and my fingernails, and there's the song.
But yeah, exactly. That's a big shout to the composer Matt Grouse. I mean, we're just like, again, we're both very open to just like pushing it to different places. So there was a lot of like discussions of like open, free thinking of just like, what could we do? And anything goes. So that's real fun.
Gosh, man. I think it's so cool that, each of these filmmakers I've talked to, they're doing the best they can with what they got. They're looking at whatever resources they got. For instance, with shooting outside, did you have to get any permits or anything? Or were you able to steal some shots, or?
We kind of did it like, guerrilla style, but we weren't using like tripods or anything. So we were just kind of like, just walking up and doing it. It was a very, very small crew, and it was just like, rocked up in East London around the sort of canals and just did it.
I gotta tell you, I admire so much those who, the guerrilla filmmakers like that. That in itself, I think, would just be so much fun for a KaPow, like an hour about guerrilla filmmaking. Like, okay, here's what to think about. Here's how to, here are some of the best kind of locations to be able to shoot in and not get any trouble from anybody. Especially in this day and age with cell phones, and these cameras are just getting at a higher and higher quality.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have like a huge camera anymore. You can just be like, oh, okay, I'm very discreet. Yeah, I'm just a tourist. I'm just a student,
Yeah, absolutely. You can really get away with it. I mean, that's why, like, when you watch stuff like the Safdie brothers, and they do a lot of that. They're like shoot in real locations. Like for Uncut Gems that came out last year with Adam Sandler, they were like shooting in New York just with real people walking around. And they would just do it just to see what happens. It gives you an energy as well, I think, when you're shooting.
Oh yeah, it's thrilling, right? Because you're like, okay, is someone, there's that albatross, like, okay, is someone gonna walk around the corner and say something to us right now? Are they gonna ask us for a permit? So there's always that kind of like I'm sure you're just riding on the edge there, that thrill of like, okay, we got to get the shot done. Who knows? We only have a little bit of time here. Oh, is someone coming around the corner?
Yeah. And so for me, it's a very different experience to then some of my other work that's more like abstract artwork, where I'm just literally just in my home or in the little art studio, just like tinkering away on a desk, which is just much more comfortable in a way. And not less of that stress, but like it's a very different process.
What are some of your other hobbies or talents, or do you make music, for instance? Do you sculpt things?
I do sort of dabble with music. I sort of make stuff. I've never really gone into like releasing it online or anything. It is just like a hobby and it's fun. Like I've been doing that since I was like a teenager, like, making electronic music, playing guitar and things. And I've sort of, I've done I still do bits of painting sometimes because I went to art school before I went to film school. So I sort of still, dabble in that. Anything creative. I don't really sculpt, like you mentioned, but, painting, guitar, electronic music, filmmaking, animation,
So
all stuff.
what do you suppose is holding you back from, because you can easily make an alias and just put it up on a SoundCloud, because you have no idea who's going to get inspired by that and who might be inspired by what you're playing and go, oh, you know what? Let me contact that guy. Maybe I'll use his music in my soundtrack.
I mean, actually, that's true. I mean, I do have a SoundCloud, and apparently that is actually how they found me for this video, to come full circle to it. Because I said,
Whoa.
found me, but actually the truth is, I remember now, is that I think Scaramanga Silk got played on Steve Davis' radio show, who over here was like a snooker player, and now he's become like a DJ.
Mm.
And so I heard it and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I think I liked some of the, liked them on like SoundCloud or whatever, like. And then I think they checked out some of my stuff and was like, oh, cool, he's a musician. And then they looked at my website and was like, oh, he's also a filmmaker. And then that's how they found me. So it's very true. It's, you never know who's going to find it.
Wow, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that story. Man, we need to hear more stories like that. We need to hear more stories like that. Too many times people are putting those blocks on themselves. They're putting those over analytical stuff, but they have no idea how this inspiration that's inspiring them could possibly inspire others. And look what you did, man. You put that up there. I mean, and they went down the rabbit hole, and then they end up finding your video stuff. I mean, that's just brilliant.
Exactly. And that's, when that happened, I was like, wow, that's great. That's the power of the internet. I mean, it's happened before with like artists from the US. Like I had a guy from New York find my stuff on Vimeo and then was like, oh, I really love your work. Do you want to make a video for me? And I ended up doing 2 or 3 with him. And even the composer that I have working with this for the Skin project, he just found my work online. And that is the amazing power of the internet, is just people can just find you, they can connect you, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
Wow,
That's
man.
cool.
So cool, man. This is so cool, Andy, that you took time off to speak to me today, especially now since it's out in the UK and it's nighttime. All these time zones are a little funky, but thank you for taking the time out.
Okay.
And what's the name of your website so we could direct people to your other projects and stuff?
It's www.andysowerby.net. So that's SOWERBY. And it's .net, not .com.
.net. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, thank you so much. And everybody who's watching, check out Life in the Faslow Lane, which I think is just such a funny title because it's like a cross between fast and slow. So you're like, you're stuck, which is just like the music in the music video.
Yeah.
It goes to that slow part. So yeah, dude, you did a great job, man. You did a great job on it.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Cheers, you too.